Brown trout are one of the most hardy cold water fish, capable of withstanding fairly high temperatures. However, their optimum feeding range is between 54 and 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Water temperatures outside this range decreases the trout's metabolism and feeding activity.
Fish on. Oh, keep up, keep up. Ran at me a little bit there. Go on the reel. There we go. This feels like a good fish. Oh, and he let go. Well, let's check my fly and make sure. That was a good, that was a nice fight. And double check my hook. And my line. Make sure I'm not frayed. Everything seems to be good. Let's try that again. That felt pretty good. While I was using nymphs further downstream, Bill has been upstream collecting some insects and has noticed some surface activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change tactics now, and we're going to go with more of an immersion system and dry fly system. What Bill has done here, though, he's re-seen the water, and he's got some pretty interesting looking insects here, and I'll let Bill explain.
Well, basically, Bill, this is a section of river that tends towards small flies for some reason. A lot of fish here are caught very frequently, and I find that tiny flies, 18s and 20s,
yes,
predominate their food preference. And I think it's because they get caught so often with big flies and hooks in them, they gravitate to small
exactly.
flies.
So smaller is better than larger in most of the sections.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. In this section, however, we've spotted one good fish that's obviously taking the caddis because of the very flashy rise. He's moving a big bow weight.
Okay.
Got a couple of little precocious guys that are just hitting the surface. You hear one just there now?
Yeah.
Little bubble. He's taking these tiny flies.
Yes.
You can go nuts trying to
yes.
but it's worth it.
But it looks like we got some olives here now. Olives are just, they're olive in color, and they're very tiny. You don't have to know the Latin name at all. We just know size and color. That's all we're going for today.
Yes. Anyway, that's a green caddis, see?
Yeah, that's green caddis
right there. So we could try a green and slate caddis a little bit later. That could well be the color of the one that this guy's taking over here.
Exactly, yeah. All right.
So we'll experiment a little bit.
On that small olive, yes.
Unlike this yellow colored fly at all.
What I was doing, folks, Bill was telling me what he was doing over there and suggested I put on a smaller olive, and I had a rise right beside him, so I took a chance and cast it to him, and sure enough, there he was.
Bingo. All right, good fun.
Now,
the most prominent insect on the Grand River is the net-building or filtering caddis. Thanks to an abundance of algae, spotted sedge, speckled sedge, and little black caddis are a prime source of food for brown trout.
There we go. He's done. Not a very big fish, but it's the right species of trout.
Yep.
Hopefully we can take some more of them and take some bigger ones, hopefully. Thanks for the advice, Bill.
Hey, my pleasure. You learn a lot in the Catskills because the water's so clear. And we were in Barnhart's Pool. I got some good advice from a friend of mine who's a biologist, and he told me about the cornuta fly. Anyway, it was all about emerger. And this particular day, the fish were taking emergers. There's a specific rise form that you can read as an emerger rise form. And these fish would not take a dry on the surface. They wouldn't take a nymph deep. They wouldn't take a nymph halfway up. You could see them all the time. And finally, when I raised the nymph up from the bottom, they tended to react. And this was scientific. Actually, we thought, well, how can we replicate what they're doing? They're looking at a fly coming to the surface and going downstream dead drift food. And we reasoned that a floating fly pulled under might just do the trick. And it wasn't easy. It took me almost 3 years of playing around with this. But when we perfected it, on occasion, it produces fish when nothing else works. And the classic case was a day in the Catskills when we caught something like 17 fish in the morning and no one else was catching anything. And the word got out there was a couple up on the creek doing this. And when they found out we were in the Orvis shop buying more tippet because we snapped a lot of fish off, they all wanted to know what fly we were using, but they didn't care how we used it. And they didn't understand that it was pop it under and let it come back to the surface on its own buoyancy. And hopefully that's what we'll show you here today. Really, the submerger method, I think, can only be done with the buoyant fly like the usual, because it's made with snowshoe rabbit fur. It's very buoyant. You pull it under and it'll still come back to the surface many, many times after it's been drowned. And that seems to be the key. Buoyant fly. So I really haven't had any success with any other method, and I don't eliminate the tail. Some people tie the snowshoe rabbit wing and leave the tail with conventional stuff. I find the tail is vital to bring that fly back up.
Local anglers are a great source of information on everything from patterns that are working to recommendations of locations. Most are quite happy to share their knowledge with you. Of course, proper etiquette is always appropriate when approaching another angler's run. It is considered prudent and polite to ask if you can approach or join someone in the same section of water. Angling pressure on the Grand is generally moderate, especially if you consider the population base that exists in the region. However, if you want to enjoy the river in relative solitude, I recommend you visit the river during midweek, as there are few anglers on the system. The brown trout on the Grand River are generally strong and healthy thanks to a strong base of invertebrates ranging from stoneflies to massive caddis hatches. In addition, the Grand is blessed with numerous bait fish including dace, shiners, creek chub, suckers, and sculpin. Leeches and crayfish are a commonplace, providing another excellent source of nourishment for the trout. Browns of 16 to 18 inches are common, and specimens of 26 inches are caught regularly.
Very nice. Decent fish in anybody's mind. Very nice. And what's the name of that fly?
CDC black caddis. CDC, what size? 18 or an 18.
Okay, what I was using was an olive caddis, and I was dead drifting it. I've seen a fish come up a couple of times, and what I'm going to try to do here is get the line on the reel. I've seen the fish come up a couple of times, and he looked at it twice. So I just kept persevering and putting it over him, and he finally come up and took it. Now, when a fish takes a dry fly, you must give it a second to turn around and move down with the fly to set the hook. And I think we're gonna net this one.
Good fish.
Okay. Yeah. Now, there's an average fish in this area. It's a little brown. And that was on a small olive caddis. What I took that last fish on was one of these olive caddis. Now this is about a 16, maybe an 18 long. We didn't see anything coming off that is large, so I decided to go smaller. And as soon as I went smaller, the fish came up 3 times to look at it, and then finally took it on the 4th time. Again, go smaller. If you don't see anything happening, go smaller.
There are times when it's important to have a free-floating or drag-free drift. This can be obtained by using the mend when the line lands on the water. Try and make the fly float at the same speed as the bubbles on top of the water.
Well, Bill, that was great.
It's been a great day.
It's been a great day. Thank you for being on the show.
Welcome to my river.
Folks, for more information on today's show and other shows we have, visit us on the World Wide Web at www.thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us. Tight lines. We'll see you next week.